IMF says Bangladesh is set to beat India in case of per capita GDP growth. According to IMF-World Economic Outlook, Bangladesh's per capita GDP in dollar terms is expected to grow 4% in 2022, $1,888. On the other hand, India's per capita GDP is expected to decline 10% to $1,877, which is the lowest in last 4 years of India's economy. I'm your host Shakil and welcome you to SouthAsian Report. In per capita GDP terms, India was significantly above Bangladesh till few years ago, but the gap has been substantially closed owing to the country's rapid rising exports. Besides, during the intervening period, while India's savings and investment remain unchanged, the corresponding numbers of Bangladesh's savings saw a sizable expansion. IMF sees India's per capita GDP falling to $1,877 in 2020, a decline of 10.3%. For Bangladesh, the corresponding figure is seen growing to $1,888, a rise of 4%. According to IMF, the key reasons for Bangladesh's increase in GDP is that it has over the years managed to grow its exports, leading to a rise in its per capita GDP growth, and is now set to overtake India. If IMF's forecast hits the mark, that will leave India just ahead of Pakistan and Nepal in the regional GDP. It means others in South Asia, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and of course Bangladesh will be ahead of India. IMF's forecast for India is worse than the Reserve Bank of India's projections of 9.5 contractions for the full fiscal. It also gloomier than the forecast of World Bank, which is predicted a decline of 9.6% for fiscal year 2021. In addition, the World Bank also said that the situation in India is worse than ever. The report said that India's contractions of 10.3% is going to be the third sharpest fall in the world after Spain and Italy. It will be the deepest decline among developing nations and emerging economies in the world. With the ongoing US-China trade war, apart from the other global tensions, Bangladesh has over the year adapted to the changing landscape and has managed to grow its exports, leading to a rise in its per capita GDP growth. The country is now set to overtake India, which had ahead few years ago. China is Bangladesh's largest trading partner with annual bilateral trade valued at approximately $15 billion. Trade with India is only slightly more than a third of that amount. According to economists, Bangladesh's economic growth has been underpinned by its fastest growing export sectors and a steady rise in rate of savings and investment in the country. Bangladesh shipped an estimated $45.7 billion worth of goods around the globe in 2019, which is 44% increase since 2015. With a population of 66.6 million people, its total $45.7 billion in 2019 exports translated to roughly $2.75 for every resident in South Asian country. In contrast, India's exports have stagnant in recent years. India's merchandise trade has been weakening even before pandemic hit the economy and external demand. According to the IMF report, the country's exports have been in negative territory since June 2019. Added to that, due to COVID-19 pandemic, both exports and imports started declining since March, leading to a trade surplus in June for the first time in 18 years. In terms of per capita GDP, Bangladesh has grown at a compound annual growth rate of 9.1% since 2015. Against that, 3.2% growth reported by India during that period. This has allowed Bangladesh to close the economic gap with its neighbor country, India. Bangladesh's gross saving rate was recorded at 30.1% in June 2020 and 29.5% in June 2019, against a record low of 27.4% in June 2018, while at the same time India's gross saving fell to 30.1% of the GDP in fiscal year 2019 from 34.6% in fiscal year 2012. Among the other countries in BRICS group, Brazil's economy will contract 5.8%, Russia 4.1%, South Africa 8%, while China will grow 1.9% according to the IMF report. Following this economic downturn of India, top Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, who has criticized over the state of economy and tweeted out at the government after the IMF projection, solid advancement of 6 years of BJP, hate-filled cultural nationalism, Bangladesh set to overtake India. I have been your host Shakil. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe our channel SouthAsian Report. Signing off. Peace.